Hello everyone. So this week I want to do some weaving, and for inspiration for this I'm going to look at Kente cloths. Kente cloths are worn ceremonially in Ghana in Africa, and they're quite symbolic. The patterns are quite symbolic, the colours are very symbolic, and I'm going to use that as my starting point for a weaving project. So first things first, what you'll need is some scissors. You'll need a pencil and a ruler to help you with making your weaving looms, and then you'll need some paper. Now I've got some paper here. I've got lots of different sorts of paper, and these are special colours for Kente cloth. So red is represents life, and it represents blood, so it's about life force. You've got gold. I haven't got gold, I've got yellow, but gold, or yellow in this case, is fortune, but it's also strength. That's very important. And then I've got green. Green is Mother Africa, or Mother Earth if you like, but it's sort of a fertile, symbolic colour, which is great. So that's that one. And last but not least, not in any way, shape or form, is black. Black represents the people, and it represents unity. So those are the cards that I've got, or these are the colours I've got. I'm going to cut them up into little strips and then use them as a weaving for weaving. Okay, so this is part one. The first thing we need to do is make our loom, and for this I'm going to use a piece of A4. In this case I've got a card, probably a bit more robust, a bit stronger. First thing you need to do is fold the card this way, so along the long edge, fold it in half, as if you are making a gift card of some sort. Next thing I need is my ruler, and I'm going to draw a line about 1.5 centimetres, 2 centimetres from the top, and it doesn't have to be wonderful, but just there. Then I get my scissors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up to the line from one end, and I'm going to make sure I stop at the line, not go over the line. I'm going to try and keep the cuts all even on this one, but if they are a little bit uneven, it's not the end of the world. Try and keep them parallel to the edge of the paper, because otherwise they'll go a bit wonky and it won't look very neat. So this is making the loom. So the loom is what you use to weave into. So that's that finished. And then open it up like this, and that is my loom. I've got my pencil mark on the back there, so it doesn't form part of my front pine. So my loom is the bit that stays still, and these long vertical pieces here, this is what is known as the warp. The warp stays still, and then the weft gets fed in and out of it, underneath it. So I've cut some of my strips up now. I've got my green, my red, I've got some blue in here as well, which I'm not going to use in this one. Blue symbolises innocence, so you can put blue in there too, but I quite like the idea of just red, gold and green. So I've got my loom here, I've got my colours ready, and when you do your, when you start, it's quite simple. All you have to do is you get one of your strips, this will be your warp, sorry, this will be your weft, and you go underneath one, over the top of the next, underneath, over the top, underneath, over the top, and so on until you get to the other side. Doesn't matter that this strip is too long, because it's fine. And when you finish that, you then have to push it up to the top of your loom. Excuse me, seem to want to quite go there. There we go, as high up as you can. And that's basically it. That's how you weave. The next one though, slightly different. So I'm going to use yellow one, so I go red, gold, green, black, red, gold, green, black. This one, instead of going underneath this first piece of the warp, I'm going to go over the top of that, and I'm going to go underneath the next one. So I'm doing the opposite of this. So where this is over, I'll go under. Where this is under, I will go over. There we go. the top. There we go, next one. That into place, nice and tight. So the next one now, red, gold, green. So my green ones, and this one obviously is going to be the opposite way to this. So this time I'm going to go underneath the first and over the second. Under, over. You'll find this tricky at first. It's always tricky the first few times you do it, but after a while you get into a rhythm and it all becomes a little bit easier. There we go, so I've done the same as I did with the red one at the top. So it should be the opposite of the yellow one. That is next. There we go. Now next one I'm going to do is use the black one. So, same as the yellow one this time. Over the top, under the second, over the top, under the second, over the top, and the next. And there we go. Now when I've finished all of this and I've got to a point where I'm happy to stop, I would start gluing these down and then cutting off the edges. But I'm not there yet. Obviously I need to finish off this to get to the other end and see what happens. Right, so I've done that. The last few were really hard to do, so I actually cut my card at an angle, and that made it a bit easy to thread through it. These are quite well stuck because I pulled them down, and if you do that, you do with your fingernails, you have to just push them all together, make them nice and tight, and then your weave will look wonderful. Final bit, I don't think I need to take these because I think they're quite well stuck. So the final piece is I just need to cut off the ends, like so. Same on the other side here. Of course, the ends I don't want to cut off are these ones, because these ones, that would be very bad. So there's my finished weave. And of course, there's lots of other things you could do as well. Okay, so this finished piece is really, really good. Of course, there are many, many options. This one here, using a different backing paper. Still using the same colours, same technique. Just simple strips coming through. Tie them together really, really closely, push them together really closely. So that's idea one. Idea two here is to use different shapes of card for your warp and weft, and to give you a better idea, this is half finished. So here are some of the examples I used, and you can see that they are just different, slightly wobbly, zigzags, curvy lines, and you can see there exactly where they all sort of how they fit down, put them together. But they make quite interesting patterns and different shapes in your weave. So that's one. And then there's this one as well, which is another lovely idea. If you just add other strips of card to the top of your basic weft, I suppose, and then you add them together like so, and you end up with this lovely kind of pattern effect here. And I really like this idea. I like playing with this idea. I want to see how far I can take that. But there's lots of scope there. So you don't just have to stick to a simple flat weave. You could vary it a little bit. You could make it your own. You can do your own version. You can do your own interpretation. And in fact, I think it'd be a lot better if you did. So let's see what you can do. See you soon.